morning everyone, it's Carol here at Herbarium Journals, and as always a very big warm welcome from me. As you know, I'm working on some little journals at the moment, and this is the signature for one of the journals, and I promised that I would keep you updated with progress. So I thought today I would show you one of the journal pages that I've made and then do a quick process run through so that you can see how it came together. This is the journal page I've done, and originally when you first saw it, I'd just done some crazy or messy stitching up in this top right hand corner. This little stamped fabric tab was already in place, and I decided that was going to be too plain as it was, and I wanted to embellish the page a little bit more. Now I will put some detailed photographs at the end of the video for you to have a look at. This page is not finished. There will be something that tucks in behind my little bee there, and I will also take the decoration here across onto this other page over here. The first thing I did to create this little page was to add these hexagon embellishments, and I used the technique that you see all the time that quilters use, English paper piecing. Here you can see me taking a piece of copier paper and cutting out a 6cm square. There are loads of videos on YouTube showing you how to create a hexagon shape either out of a rectangle piece of paper or a square piece of paper. The video tutorial I followed was one by Paper Fold, and I will put the link in the description box below the video. Here I'm just showing what it looks like when all my folds are in place. So that's the top, and I'm holding on to a point. And now all I need to do is draw a line across my piece of paper as it's folded, snip it across, and when you open it out you've got a lovely hexagon shape. I traced it out onto a heavier weight cardstock and cut that out and used that as a template to cut out 65 or perhaps 67, I think it was 67 hexagon shapes out of vintage book paper. Here you can see I'm just marking a border all the way round the inside of each of my hexagons. And here's a close-up of the border. Now I'm going round inking up the edges of each of my hexagons, and I'm just using Distress Oxide Vintage Photo. In the top right hand corner you can see some circles. Those are what I'm going to use to pop inside each of my hexagons. So using the border that I've drawn in pencil round the inside of my hexagons, I'm using the lines as a guide for creating my folds, and as you can see I'm working my way round, doing two sides at a time and just using the edge of my ruler so that I can get accurate fold lines. So that's 4 done, and here's the last 2. Oops. Too keen to move on there, and that's my last fold. And I'm just folding them in by hand all the way round so that they lie neatly, and I'm using my thumbnails rather than a bone folder. It was just quicker and easier to reinforce those folds. The inked edge obviously folds in, so I did go round again with the Distress Oxide Vintage Photo and inked the outside edge as well. So as you can see I'm rapidly working my way through them all, folding them with my thumb, and then on some of them I think at the very end I went over with my bone folder just to reinforce those creases even more. So here they are all done and dusted. As you can see, a nice little pile there on the left hand side, and here I am just opening out each one because I have used a punch to cut out these circles, and these are again vintage book page, but they are from a slightly different coloured book, and I've punched out the number from the top of each page. And what I'm doing is refolding rather the hexagon shape and making sure that the number inside is centered, holding it in place, very time consuming this, putting a dab of glue on the back there just to hold it in place, and then all the way round on each of the sides just a tiny little dab of art glitter glue, and folding each side in to create my finished hexagon. Well, almost finished. I say almost because I decided to go in and sew my hexagons when I'd finished making them, just to add another touch of interest to them. So that's the last side glued, and I'm going on to number 3. And I'm now going to put the camera on hyperlapse again because obviously this took quite a bit of time, a little bit fiddly, but again, audiobook on, and just carried on crafting away, listening to a really good Wilkie Collins audiobook. Here I am with the hexagons all glued down, and I'm just going in now, as I mentioned before, with the Vintage Photo Distress Oxide, just inking round the outside edges of each one. Here I am just using a needle to pierce through from the front of the hexagon to the reverse so that I can see where I needed to stitch, and I'm just stitching these using the vintage French linen thread that I have available in my Etsy shop, and I'm using a foam pad there just to pierce through with my needle, tying off with a little knot at the back, a little reef knot, and then I go in with a dab of glue just for a belt and braces on those knots. This is the original page, just with the crazy stitching in the top right hand corner and the fabric tag, and as you saw there, I've just gone around the edge with Distress Oxide Vintage Photo. This is some packaging from a blouse I bought recently from Sea Salt. Love the colour of the packaging paper, or the brown paper. So as you can see here, I've just torn off a scrap and I'm sticking it in that top right hand corner. Then I decided to go in with some stenciling, so I'm using a TCW stencil here, Mini Chicken wire, and again the link will be in the description box down below the video, and some distress texture paste. Next I went in with some Luminary Radiant Rain and gave a nice little spray to add some shimmer to my piece. As you can see, I've just covered over the stamped image of the bee there so that that didn't get sprayed as well. And here I'm just giving it a quick blast with my heat gun to dry off the texture paste and also the Luminary Radiant Rain spray that I've just used on my piece. Next I went in with Feng Shui glitter top coat to the inside portions of my texture paste, or honeycomb texture paste. This gives a really nice finish to the stencil work, and it actually looked a little bit purplish when I applied the top coat to the brown paper, but everywhere else it came out looking white and glittery, just with a hint of shimmer, which was what I wanted. But I love the effect that I got using that on the actual brown paper. And here's a close-up obviously of the finished page. There's the hexagons with the stitching, there's the Radiant Rain splatters, and there's the glitter top coat. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye now.